Good morning, good evening, good night, whenever you guys are watching this channel. First, subscribe. I was just trying to see how long Candace Owens was going to sit around before she say anything about Kanye. I know she mentioned Kyrie Irvin, but check this out and you tell me what you think about what's going on with the blacks and Jewish communities. But Candace Owens is going to give you her opinion and what you think. I thought this was very interesting. So check it out and let's watch some of this together.
The question of the day today is, what do I really think about Kanye West, known as Ye, and the Jewish community? I feel like it has come to a point now where my silence is creating some violence in the air. So I want to answer and I want to respond thoroughly, because there's a lot of tension in the air right now between the Jewish community and the black community, obviously. And I felt that by defending Kyrie Irving, which I felt was the right thing to do, some people would say, oh, there she goes again. There she goes again, defending black people and saying nothing about the Jewish community, saying nothing about people that are now sharing anti-Semitic remarks. And I was overwhelmed and thankful for the response to that monologue. I mean, I looked through the comments and there was this outpouring of love and understanding. And I think that outloving of love and understanding came perhaps because I did something yesterday that I rarely do. I shared my heart, you know? I'm never a person that says to you guys, as a black person this, or as a black woman this. But I did feel yesterday that I needed to come to you as a black person in this society. And I was hopeful that you would understand why I was touched by Kyrie Irving's remarks when he asked the press, where were you when I was growing up?
Yeah, I think I can ask a better question. It's just, where were you when I was a kid, figuring out that 300 million of my ancestors are buried in America? Where were you guys asking those same questions when I was a kid learning about the traumatic events of my familial history and what I'm proud to come from and why I'm proud to stand here and why when I repeat myself that I'm not going to stand down, it has nothing to do with dismissing any other race or group of people. I'm just proud of my heritage and what we've been through. And the fact that this has pinned me against the Jewish community. And I'm here answering questions of whether or not I'm sorry or not on something I didn't create. And it was something I shared. And I'm telling everybody I'm taking responsibility. Then that's where I sit. So, you know, these same questions that you guys ask, me dealing with it as being a melanated, pigmented person all around the world and dealing with racial biases against my skin color, demeaning me because of my religious beliefs, and I'm still sitting in the seat standing. So I take my full responsibility. Again, I'll repeat it, for posting something on my Instagram or Twitter that may have had some unfortunate falsehoods in it. But I also am a human being that's 30 years old, and I've been growing up in a country that's told me that I wasn't worth anything, and I came from a slave class, and I come from a people that are meant to be treated the way we get treated every day. So I'm not here to compare anyone's atrocities or tragic events that their families have dealt with generations of time. I'm just here to continue to expose things that our world continues to put in darkness. I'm a light. I'm a beacon of light. That's what I'm here to do. You guys ask me questions about basketball, I give you my expert opinion. You guys ask me about other things, I give you my opinion, and it's met with whatever you believe the perception or the deception is. You guys investigate my life every day, and you justify it by serving your own purpose, which I honor. I would like the same respect in return, figuring out just like anyone else. So please keep that same energy when we're talking about anti-other things, because just because I post a documentary doesn't mean I'm anti-Semitic, and doesn't mean that I'm automatically standing with everyone that is believing in it. So it's unfortunate timing that we're in, but I'm glad that I could stand on the truth, because I'm not afraid of these mics, these cameras. I used to be, looking everyone in the eye and telling them the truth, and I'm proud of who I am. Any label that you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I studied. I know the Oxford Dictionary, you look it up, right? It's one of the biggest mistakes I had in being a kid was not knowing European or Western language until I started looking it up and understanding the definitions and why they say, if you want to trick a black person, put it in a book. I was wondering my whole life why they said that. Now I'm 30 years old and I know reading is a superpower because it helps me understand where I'm going and where I come from. Like a tree with roots.
I'm going to pause it right there for a minute. And I like Kyrie Irvin. He's a very humble young man. And he's 30 years old. He's around the age of my daughter. My daughter is 29. I think Candace Owens is like 33. So these are the millennials, they call them millennials. I'm in that Generation X. And just listening to him, and he reminds me, he's just young. He's humble. And this really what caused an uproar. Because he didn't do anything wrong. In my opinion, he just posted something. He didn't make the movie. He don't sell them on Amazon. They're not doing anything to Jeff Bezos. He's selling them there on Amazon. And matter of fact, this particular book have sold millions, made millions of dollars this last month. But I let Candace Owens continue.
I shared with you how it's a weird thing to be a black person in society and not really know where you come from. I felt his pain, and I think that you guys heard my pain and you responded to it accordingly. Now, obviously, there's another subject that is getting snowballed into the Kyrie Irving situation. In fact, I think this subject is part of the reason that the media has been so harsh, despite, in my opinion, Kyrie Irving really committing no crimes that are worthy of that harshness, worthy of that treatment, worthy of the words, by the way, that the Brooklyn Nets shared regarding him. He's unfit to be associated with. That is so dark and so twisted and so hurtful when all he did was share a link and then immediately offer apologies for what he deemed to be falsehoods within the documentary. But the subject that a lot of us have been avoiding is regarding Kanye West. And when I say a lot of us, I mean especially me. Ye is my friend. I have been very, very clear about that. Ye is still my friend, and I don't really like to talk about things and people that are personal to me. I do, I guess, politics and culture. A lot of times I sit back and I wonder why I have the platform that I have. It's a weird thing to sort of look through the lens of your life and to say, why am I here? Like, what am I doing? All I've done, as far as I'm concerned, is I've stood up and I've said the truth a lot of times. And I think because we now live in these times of tremendous deceit, that seems to a lot of people like a heroic act. A lot of people depend on me and count on me to continue to tell the truth and to not, quote unquote, sell out. I know what that means. I know that there has been a lot of pressure on me, people saying, Candace, don't sell out to the Daily Wire because I'm with them. Candace, don't sell out to PragerU when I was with them. People have this fear that the more success that people have, they kind of have to say, okay, I need to stay within a certain boundary and a certain line to maintain that success. Essentially, a lot of people trade their souls for money. That is true. I'm simply not one of those people. There is no amount of money that is high enough that I would say something that I do not mean. There's nobody that can make me perform, and I want to make that clear to everybody. And I thought that I was making that clear when I remained silent regarding Ye, who is my actual friend behind the scenes. But I'm going to do something rare today, and I'm going to share with you some personal conversations that I've had, not just with Ye, but with other people that are friends of mine behind the scenes. With all of this going on, and with Adidas pulling out and saying we want nothing to do with Ye, and Gap pulling out and saying we want nothing to do with him, and the entire world condemning him, a lot of people wonder what he is thinking. What is Ye thinking? How does he respond to losing $2 billion, as it was estimated, in one day, right? After a week of tweeting and saying things, everyone wants nothing to do with him. How do you think he's feeling about that? A lot of you guys might be thinking that he feels very sad about that. I'm only going to tell you what he said to me last week, because I was feeling sad about it in a way, right? I was feeling sad about it because it's difficult for me to communicate to everybody what Ye means to Black America. It's difficult for me to communicate what he as an artist meant for me. His entire life, he has made it possible for Black Americans to know that the world can be ours, right? He let us know that it was possible to do the impossible. Before I ever knew him, I shared my heart about him being my favorite artist because his music let me know, as a girl that came from nothing, that I could break the barriers, that I did not have to just be a victim, that I didn't have to care what the media thought about me. I actually felt empowered by his song Power. And so in that regard, he has ranked up a lot of credit in the Black community. So when we are asked to debit him because of his recent actions, it's not easy for us to do that because he's meant so much to us in our households and in our personal spaces. Now, as a friend, to see what's happening to him, as I said, has been tremendously hurtful. And I called him and I spoke to him weeks ago and expected that he would understand and also be feeling hurtful as well. But instead, he said to me, after all of the cancellations, his first sentence to me was, "Now I'm finally free." It almost made me cry, right? It almost made me cry because I realized that I was so worried for him, and I have felt so scared and so worried for him. And yet for Ye, in this really bizarre way, he intentionally blew himself up because he has felt so pressured within the Hollywood world to be somebody that he's not. He has shared since then that what started all of this was text messages from one Jewish person, Harley Pasternak. It's important to say one Jewish person, not the Jewish community, not all Jewish individuals, not the entire Jewish world, right? A text message from a guy basically saying that he would put Ye back in the hospital again if he wanted to, and that he would never see his kids again. So he was feeling hurt, and he hurt people. He hurt a lot of people, and he owned that. Ye himself said on Piers Morgan that his remarks were anti-Semitic and they were racist. And then he apologized for those remarks and said that hurt people hurt people. And so I was a bit confused why, despite him having said that and despite him taking ownership over his own words, people were still coming to me and asking me to say something bad about him in public. I just didn't want to take that bait because this is actually my friend, right? But I realized that a lot of people come to me because they see me as a leader. And I guess in that regard, they hold me in a higher view than I hold myself. Again, I'm just somebody who is saying the truth and calling things as I see it. And what I've realized is that while I have been a very strong and vocal friend of Ye, and I'm going to continue to be that, I haven't yet been a vocal friend to some people that have been tremendous friends to me. Just one example is Dennis Prager. You guys know I worked for Prager University for 2 years, and I want to tell you about that relationship. At Prager University, if we ever had anything that we need to discuss, if I ever went to Marissa Straight, who is Jewish, and she is the CEO, and I said, I think I should make more money for this. They just would say, here, we never want this relationship to be about money. Here, we just want you to take whatever you want. We never want to have to go back to the contract. I mean, I've said this publicly before, and I will say it again. The most productive working relationship that I've ever had in my entire conservative career was with Prager University. Dennis Prager is a wonderful human being. Marissa Straight is a wonderful human being. They are wonderful people who happen to be Jewish, right? And Dennis Prager, when I called him and he wanted to discuss the situation with Ye, I didn't even let him get a word in. I just yelled at him. I was very harsh. I'll tell you what I said to him. I said, I'm not playing this game with the Jewish community again. Because people were starting to say, well, if Candace doesn't condemn Ye, then she too is anti-Semitic. It means that she's also anti-Semitic by association. I said, I'm not playing this game with you guys again, is what I said to him. I said, you've wrongly smeared me and libeled me as anti-Semitic in the past. You were there for that, Dennis. You were one of the lone voices that stood up for me when BuzzFeed intentionally pulled out a clip of me to make it sound like I was defending Adolf Hitler.
I've seen this clip so many times, and this particular clip have got millions of views. And it bothers me when I see this because they see this young black lady, Candace Owens, and the first thing I think this guy thought, hey, you bring in this woman? She don't know anything, but after she finished, Oh man, he felt like, wow, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have never brought this up. But check this clip out. This is what she was talking about when they was starting to label her as anti-Semitic. Check this out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In congressional hearings, the minority party gets to select its own witnesses. And of all the people that Republicans could have selected, they picked Candace Owens. I don't know Miss Owens. I'm not going to characterize her.
He don't know
I'm
her.
going to let her own words do the talking. So I'm going to play for you the first 30 seconds of a statement she made about Adolf Hitler.
I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German.
All right, so my first question is to Ms. Hirschenoff. Ms. Owens said, quote, if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. So when people try to legitimize Adolf Hitler, does that feed into white nationalist ideology?
It does, Mr. Liu. I know that Ms. Owens distanced herself from those comments later, but we expressed great concern over the original comments.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Owens, I'm sorry. We just started recording. Would you like time to respond to that?
Yes, I think it's pretty apparent that Mr. Liu believes that black people are stupid and will not pursue the full clip in its entirety. He purposely presented an extracted clip.
The witness will suspend for a moment. It is not proper to refer disparagingly or to a member of the committee. The witness will not do that again. Witness may continue.
Sure, even though I was called despicable.
Witness may not refer to a member of the committee as stupid.
I didn't refer to him as stupid. That's not what I said. That's not what I said at all. You didn't listen to what I said. May I continue?
Please.
As I said, he is assuming that black people will not go pursue the full 2-hour clip. And he purposefully he cut off, and you didn't hear the question that was asked of me. He's trying to present as if I was launching a defense of Hitler in Germany, when in fact, the question that was asked of me was pertaining to whether or not I believed that whether or not I believed in nationalism, and that nationalism was bad. And what I responded to was that I do not believe that we should be characterizing Hitler as a nationalist. He was a homicidal, psychopathic maniac that killed his own people. A nationalist would not kill their own people. That is exactly what I was referring to in the clip, and he purposely wanted to give you a cut-up similar to what they do to Donald Trump to create a different narrative. That was unbelievably dishonest, and he did not allow me to respond to it, which is worrisome and should tell you a lot about where people are today in terms of trying to drum up narratives. By the way, I would like to also add that I work for Prager University, which is run by an Orthodox Jew. Not a single Democrat showed up to the embassy opening in Jerusalem. I sat on a plane for 18 hours to make sure that I was there. I'm deeply offended by the insinuation of revealing that clip without the question that was asked of me.
Wow. She was pissed. And it gives me chills, you know, just you could see she was very upset how they twisted her words. And then after this, they start labeling her as anti-Semitic. Wow. I just love this clip, but I'll let Candace continue.
And I said, despite that, I was gracious and I was understanding, and I made amends with people to help them understand what that conversation was actually about. I said, but the second time you guys are going to come at me with smears of anti-Semitism, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not playing the game with you guys. And do you want to know what Dennis did? Dennis did not push back at all. He said he understood, and he published an article in my defense. So essentially what Dennis did was he heard how I felt hurt by the Jewish community and how I was feeling hurt again by the Jewish community. And rather than argue with me on it, or rather than say, well, Candace, no, it could kind of be seen as he heard my hurt and he published an article in my defense. It was incredible. It was an incredible act of friendship. I want to be remembered not just as a formidable enemy to the left. I am that, of course. I do not just want to be remembered as a formidable enemy to any institution that seeks to harm my children. I am that, of course. I also, and I think this is the most important thing that I want to be remembered as, is a formidable friend, because I am that. I am a good friend to Ye and an understanding friend to Ye. And I am a good friend to Dennis Prager, Marissa Straight, many other Jewish people that have been amazing to me. But I haven't been vocal in that friendship. And so I want to do that today. I want to say to those individuals who have been out there defending me while I have been silent, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It has meant the world to me. I don't want to make a habit, by the way, of defending myself against baseless smears. It's a bad game. But I think right now there is a rare occasion where there are very high tensions between the Black community and the Jewish community. And so I think it's important for me to state the obvious. I, of course, am not anti-Semitic whatsoever. I've never had an anti-Semitic bone in my body. I actually, before I married my husband, almost married a Jewish man. It's not even a thing. I feel stupid even saying that. But I do think it's important to do that because I've made it abundantly clear publicly that I'm standing by Ye as he weathers this tremendous storm. But I also recognize that I need to make it abundantly clear that I'm standing by Dennis Prager as well and all of my other Jewish friends and supporters who are speaking out for me and who have endured what may have felt like a very heavy silence from me. And so I want to again say thank you to all of you for understanding and knowing that the hurt that is coming from the Black community, which I can speak on, is this feeling that we have all been emotional slaves, the spiritual slavery that Kyrie Irvin talked about, feeling like you have to choose between who you actually are and a paycheck, you know? And sometimes we push back on that in the wrong way, right? And I think Ye has been clear that he did that in the wrong way. Sometimes we push back on that in a certain way that is determined to be wrong, like Kyrie. And I hope that in coming to you guys with my heart in this monologue, that I am pushing back on this in the right way. And that's all I will say about that.
Wow. I think Candace Owens is a very brilliant young lady. I've been watching her for the last 5 years, and she got a brilliant mind. And I'm glad she did come out and speak on this because it is getting heated, the Jewish and Black. But anyway, thanks for watching and subscribe to my channel. And I would like to read some of the comments.